I knew neo-Nazis and such a human beings already exist and they loathe my human beings, but I never very mind they were about me. I ever mind they were sometime else, I never very machine they were anywhere. Joke Fidel, and some younger generation residing in Squirrel Mound in Pittsburgh, say they never very had to believe on against Semitism in their daily lives up Saturday, while it arriving in fatal strength at their society's threshold. Joke Scientific on the survey at a regional shul a few protocol driving off of his household up it was informed on the news story. His boyfriend, who lives contrary would of lifetime, had acquired furious telephone call of his parents expressive him on it. They said him they were blocked in their cellar and their loft was creature utilized by police force snipers. The estimated bandit, Robert Bowers, was ultimately undertaken live by authorities, but injured. He had annihilated 11 human beings within the shul up he was seized, all of them elderly among 54 and 97. My parents knew largest of the families, Joke says. Down there's not a solitary Jew in Pittsburgh or though the entire nation who isn't struck by the it torment everyone. Else regional adolescent, Marina Godley Fisher, who lives just a unit off of the shul, says she was shocked wake by a neighbor. I never mind it would be so shut to household, and never in a shul, I wonder. I've ever named in general Hebrew human beings are a minority group, but in Squirrel Mound they're no, she adds. I didn't believe we'd include lot to worry about on. Squirrel Mound is Pittsburgh's length-standing Hebrew hub, both of territorially and institutionally, in part of the town's 50,000 Hebrew people residing in the neighborhood and its nearby areas. Residents say he's a location wherever all faiths and denominations, of orthodoxy to worldly, dwell party by party and lot aware every some so. As the society began to find out they had incurred which is believed to be the lowest against Semitic assault in U.S. story, several of its younger generation began texting. They already had a team communication in location of a high school go out they helping organize over the year. They, love thousands of other through the U.S., had walked out of their establishment to outcry versus fatal gun abuse and which they see as by the government fail to hinder it. They say they thick felt vehemently since of their terror how a regional massive survey could one day be a fact, and on Saturday it did. He's so common how I'm utilized to it, nearly dazed to it. He's nearly usual, 17-year-old Rebecca Glickman says, on the incidence of U.S. gun abuse. While I go to the cinema theater, while I go to high school, while I go out in my friends to the mall. While I go everywhere, I'm ever thought of it event to me. Else top school elder, Emily journalist says, thou never wait it to occur to you before it does, thou see it on the news story and you believe he's a tragic but now I'm looking at the news story and I'm vision my household. She scientific of the survey time take portion at a discussion contest on 15 miles off while she and her friends acquired furious telephone call of household check they were secure. She says while she got behind of the occasion, she refundable to an region in Castledown. The regional police force team center had been set up on her regional road. Emily recalls meeting at household for 20 protocol, yet in her discussion gown, sense powerless and desperate. We were love, we include to do thing. Since we thick felt so one, and so mad and blank and we couldn't sit yet, she says. During a pair of several hours, a little team of Taylor Alderda's top high school, on-in members of the Dor Hadash meeting who utilized the shul, met in a Starbucks. In spite possessing no expertise of organize big events, they solved to schedule a collection how overnight. They hoped a social waking could propose a location for the shut-knit and mad society to bring together to search convenience of every sum. Of the coffee store, they named journalists and newspapers and mobilized some regional youthful human beings on public print. During a few several hours via friends and household, they had provided a mic, flowers, candles, and timber for a do-shift phase. At one spot, they faltered, concerned they were creature irreverent to the victims and were worried on walking on society tiptoe in take the conduct in organize. But by night period, while they collected for the waking at 1730, more than rather than 1,000 human beings rotated up. They outdoor in a Mishur Bayrake, a pray for medicinal, as crowds packed in a regional way crossroad shut to the Pittsburgh Hebrew Society Center. The waking brought human beings of all faiths, who in the rainfall prayed, lamented, and sing along in an suddenly big, and partly inadvertent, screen of oneness. One undergraduate, 15-year-old Sophia Levin, stood in front line of the mob and proclaimed, "I am a various Jew present rather than I was day yesterday." Yesterday creature Hebrew was fair creature a portion of the Hebrew society. Listening on against Semitic events was thing you heard on some places. But the squirrel mound, and how didn't influence us there, she said them. Emily and Rebecca both of accept the expertise has modified how they type their Hebrew sameness. I'm now more than aware of creature Hebrew rather than I was, Emily says. It doesn't question who you are, he's fair a sticker, but human beings wish to wound you for how sticker. But I don't believe nobody should conceal who they are. Rebecca says a day on, the sentiment about the neighborhood is yet terrible, but they as well sense really favor it and backed. I don't believe he's a nice item to dwell lifetime in terror, and I don't believe largest human beings in the society will, she says. I fair believe you include to be aware of folk biases in the direction you include to struggle for who you are in yours everyday lifetime. The team say they expect to do more than to supporting the society and wish to go on to lawyer for superior canon control law popularly. No of them will be acceptable to voice in the medium-term elections in 9 days. Several will be brief of their 18th date of birth by fair a few weeks. He's a resource of disappointment, but motive too much. Park kind of set the precedents how students include a vote, how we are not fair departure to stay lazily on, joke says. Students are start to find out if they wish to do a changing they include to do it themselves, since they can't fair trust on political community.